Welcome to Inquisite Curiosity, where we embark on an incredible journey exploring the fascinating topic of how the human body undergoes remarkable transformations during long-term spaceflight. Join us as we delve into the science behind 12 intriguing ways in which astronauts' bodies adapt and change in the challenging and weightless environment of outer space. From muscle atrophy to bone density loss, from the effects on vision to the mysteries of the cardiovascular system, we'll take you on an informative and captivating voyage through the physiological adaptations that occur when humans venture beyond Earth's atmosphere. Get ready to uncover the secrets of space-induced transformations, right here on Inquisite Curiosity, dedicated to the wonders of long-term spaceflight and its impact on the human body. Living in a world with microgravity where you're just inches from exposure to the vacuum of outer space can have a profound influence on the human body. Most astronauts only spend 6 months at a time in that environment on the International Space Station, ISS, floating 250 miles above the Earth. Tests performed on 3 ISS astronauts sent into space in March will get us closer to understanding what could happen on longer space exploration missions, like visiting Mars, a journey that will take at least 6 months each way. It may not sound like a long time, but this year-long trip is not for the faint of heart. Scientists know a few things about what a 6-month stay in microgravity does to the human body, some of which are downright disturbing. It stretches your spine. Astronauts can grow up to 3% taller in space. That means that a 6-foot-tall astronaut could tack on an extra 2 inches. The growth spurt happens because microgravity allows the squishy spinal discs between vertebrae freedom to relax and expand, almost like relieving pressure on a spring. It takes a few months to return to normal height after they get back to Earth. It turns your muscle into jelly. You don't need muscles to support you in a weightless environment. Astronauts' muscles almost immediately start shrinking and shedding the extra tissue that they no longer need. That's why exercise is crucial on the ISS, so astronauts can maintain the muscle mass they need when they return to Earth. They usually budget about 2 hours a day for exercise. That includes weightlifting using a special resistance machine, since a free weight weighs nothing in zero gravity. You can see the crazy contraption used to do squats. It makes your face puffy. Our bodies are mostly liquid. The gravity on Earth pulls that liquid down and some of it pools in our lower extremities. In near zero G, the liquid is spread out more evenly around the body, so astronauts' faces look puffier than normal while their legs look skinnier than normal. After a few weeks, the body adjusts to the gravity change and some of the puffiness goes down. It thins out your bone density. Astronauts can lose around 1% of their bone density every month they spend in space if they don't regularly exercise. It makes them a lot more likely to break bones when they're back on Earth, similar to people who have osteoporosis. Exercise and good nutrition is crucial for minimizing this effect. It will be especially important for the astronauts spending a full year in space. It can cause vision problems. A 2013 study examined the eyes of 27 astronauts who had spent an average of 108 days on board the ISS. NASA researchers found that many of them had eye abnormalities after returning from space. MRI scans showed that 9 of the astronauts had bloating around their optic nerves and 6 of the astronauts had eyeballs that were physically flattened out in the back. This is definitely cause for concern, but none of the astronauts have reported any serious trouble seeing. NASA is conducting a more comprehensive follow-up study. It messes with your immune system. Living in space can depress astronauts' immune systems, according to a study published in 2014. Things like radiation, microbes, stress, microgravity, altered sleep cycles and isolation could all have an effect on crew member immune systems, a NASA biological studies and immunology expert, who led the study said. If this situation persisted for longer deep space missions, it could possibly increase risk of infection, hypersensitivity, or autoimmune issues for exploration astronauts. It screw up your sleep cycle. Astronauts have to strap themselves into sleeping bags every night. In microgravity their heads roll forward and their arms float up once they fall asleep. The weird position is hard to get used to. Sometimes you wake up in the morning to see your arm floating in front of your face. But there are many other disturbances that make it challenging to get quality sleep in space. Brilliant flashes of light that can illuminate the space station every time streams of cosmic rays shoot by. Now astronauts have individual sleeping pods that help shut out some of that light. Still, studies have found that most astronauts are only getting about 6 hours of sleep even though their schedules call for 8.5 hours. It throws off your coordination. It's a struggle returning to Earth after spending 6 months in microgravity. Astronauts lose their definitive sense of up and down while they're in space because the vestibular system can't tell where the ceiling is and where the ground is in a weightless environment. Eventually the body recalibrates, but astronauts are a little shaky on their feet at first. It messes with your senses. Pressure changes in space and so fluids shift around in the body. The same effect that makes astronauts' faces puffy also makes them congested. Many astronauts have reported that flavors are much more dull in microgravity, so they crave food with a lot of extra flavoring and spice to make up for the bland taste. Food and drink that rely on a sense of smell to bring out the flavor, like coffee, are disappointing in space. It takes a toll on your psyche. On the ISS astronauts are literally a world away from anything familiar, and it's not like they can pack up and leave any time they want. Astronauts undergo a rigorous psychological screening before they can even start training for space. Still, feelings of isolation and confinement are a big risk. Combine that with sleep deprivation, the absence of the comfort of gravity, and dulled senses, and you can begin to imagine the psychological toll long-term spaceflight can take. Many astronauts have described it as the hardest thing they have ever done. It makes nutrition a challenge. Nutrients can make almost all of the above effects even worse. Vitamin D is a concern for astronauts because they're not exposed to sunlight and it's easy to wind up with a deficiency. Specifically, oxidative stress is much greater in space, so astronauts need a lot of antioxidants. Spaceflight also changes iron metabolism. Astronauts have elevated iron levels because their red blood cell mass decreases. Astronauts track their food intake every week to make sure they maintain the right levels of nutrients. Usually iron levels return to normal after a few months back on Earth. It exposes you to dangerous cosmic level. A dose of cosmic radiation can tear through your very DNA, and that damage can lead to cancer, cataracts, or other diseases. Earth's atmosphere acts as a force field that shields us from 99% of cosmic radiation, but astronauts don't have the same kind of protection in space. Radiation risk increases by a factor of about 30. Astronauts wear dosimeters while on board the ISS that measure how much radiation they are exposed to. Their careers as astronauts are limited based on their exposure. Scientists don't know much about what will happen beyond 6 consecutive months in space. Some of the effects may stay the same, some could worsen, or we may see new effects. NASA's year-long space mission will be crucial to understanding the risks of long-term manned missions to the Moon or Mars. Thanks for tuning in to Inquisite Curiosity. In this episode, we uncover 12 fascinating ways our bodies change during long-term spaceflight. But our cosmic journey is far from over. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future videos as we continue exploring the mysteries of the universe. Keep reaching for the stars with us.